Introducing IPFS Deploy for Java. I'm Eric Lau, and this is my project submission for HackFS. First, let's look at the motivation. Java packages are typically deployed to a centralized repository known as Maven Central. This is the largest centralized package repository behind NPM. It requires a formal publishing process, and it takes hours before your published package is available. Naturally, a decentralized alternative to this could be useful. So I've created some build tools to help with deploying and consuming Java packages on IPFS and Filecoin. This allows for decentralized Java package repositories, permissionless publishing of your projects, and instant deployment results. Let's take a look. Let's say you have a Java project, Project A, that you want to make available as a package for other developers to use. This is the build file for your Java project. Simply add the IPFS deploy plugin into your build file in order to use it. Now we run the build command to deploy your project to Textile. You can see the command running in the terminal output, where it deploys the project to a Textile bucket. The bucket URL is shown at the end. This is the URL of your repository. Simply copy that, and you can use it later on. Now let's look at archiving your repository to Filecoin. Simply run the build command, which will archive the Textile bucket to the Filecoin testnet. You can run another build command to check the status of the archive process. After a while, you see that the archive is successful and that the deals have been made with the Filecoin miners on the Filecoin testnet. We can verify the status of the deals by using a Filecoin client such as Lotus to get the deal state. Now that your Java package is published to IPFS and Filecoin through Textile, let's see how you can use it in the consuming project. Let's say your project, Project B, has a compile dependency on Project A. However, Project A was written by someone else and they've made that available on a Textile bucket. Simply add the URL of your Textile bucket in the repository section of your build file. Then you can run your build and you can see that the compilation is successful. Notice in your build log that the dependency was downloaded from the Textile URL. Instead of using Textile buckets, you can also use Fleek buckets through Fleek storage. Let's see how this works. Enter the build command to deploy to Fleek storage. Include your Fleek bucket name, as well as an optional directory name. You can see it uploading to the Fleek bucket, and when it completes, you can get the URL of the repository. Then in Project B, which has a dependency on Project A, paste the Fleek storage URL, and then you can compile it, and compilation is successful. Another thing that you can do is to use IPFS URLs directly. In this case, this is just an IPFS protocol URL, and you can use it by adding a build extension in your build file for IPFS URL support. And you can run the build again and see that it downloads the dependencies directly from the IPFS URL. Now let's talk about how this was made. This solution implements a Java build plugin to deploy projects to Textile or Fleek buckets. It achieves Textile integration through the Textile Hub CLI, Fleek integration through the AWS SDK for Java, and Filecoin integration through Textile to Filecoin archiving. As you see in the image below, your Java build can simply make use of this IPFS deploy plugin to interact with Textile or Fleek, which then interacts with IPFS and or Filecoin. The next steps for this project are to add IDE extensions for development environments. This would allow for a better user experience, and to add support for local IPFS nodes. This would allow for enterprise use cases. For example, you could have package repositories on IPFS nodes within company firewalls. This build plugin was used to deploy itself onto a Fleek repository, and you can use it right now in your Java projects to decentralize your repositories on IPFS and Filecoin. Thank you for your time.